What a great idea to basically demake Arma 3 and give it like PlayStation 1 graphics. Or like what I originally thought Nintendo 64 graphics, which kind of rings true also. I'm talking about Dagger Directive. I really like this game. I haven't played it a lot, but from what I have played, I enjoyed it thoroughly. And it's a relatively little known game. It's an indie game by what is it? Something Alpaca. It's a wacky name like that, but it is published by Microprose, which is, from what I hear, is a pretty well-known PC game publisher. I'm looking up right now the name of the developer, Arcane Alpacas LLC, and then Microprose Software. Now, I've heard of Microprose. When I first saw that, I thought they were the ones that developed it, but it looks like they're into publishing now, or maybe they kind of always were. I'm not sure, but I heard they're very iconic. When I click it, just when I click their link, Microprose, I see a bunch of games here that, like, you know, look old as fuck, but they also look like they were some classics. A lot of war games, by the way. Maybe that's kind of what they specialize in. I don't know. I'm kind of a newbie when it comes to PC gaming. I've said that 9,000 times. So I do like the fact that you've got this game that's supposed to be a deep experience with a lot of customization, and not only like customization in the sense of, you know, options that you can pick, like loadouts for your character. It's also customization in the sense that, like, you can do certain things to the playing field. Like, think Arma. If you've played Arma, you know what I'm talking about. Like, it's one of the most deepest games and complex games I've ever played in my life, and it's a war game, which, like, it sounds almost like an oxymoron, right? Like a paradox of some sort. Like, how can a game where guys in uniforms, or in camouflage in this case, are just running around some sort of a battlefield shooting each other, how complex can that be? It turns out that it's the most fucking complex thing I've ever played in my life. And it's weird to say that, right? Because it just bends my brain that a first person shooter, essentially is one of the most complex games I've ever played in my life, if not the most complex game I've ever played in my life. Obviously, Dagger Directive is, like, not that game yet, but I hope that the developer continues to work on this because it has an insane amount of potential. Um, I do see not only a market for this game, but of course, it's not going to probably hit big numbers like Arma. I hope that it does. I'm praying that it does. But obviously, because it's like graphically it looks like a PlayStation 1 game, and that's intentional. It's by design. It's supposed to be like the old Delta Force games, which I've never played. As a matter of fact, the only Delta Force, hey guys, the only Delta Force I've heard was the newer one that came out, the free to play one that I guess a Chinese company must have bought the rights to and kind of just released it, or I don't know. I think that's how it goes. I don't think it's its own thing with the same name as the said Delta Force, or the Delta Force. So I've never played these games, obviously, because I think they were PC exclusive. Maybe I'm wrong, but they're supposed to be in a style of, like, like an old PlayStation 1 slash Nintendo 64 type of game, and doesn't look visually the greatest. It looks good enough, but it's still, you can tell, like, think like borderline Arma meets Minecraft. I couldn't spit that out there for a second. I felt like what was Ben Stiller and anyways, so I like the concept because theoretically, right, if you have a game where visually you don't have to worry about like high end graphics on Unreal Engine 5 and all that shit. You just got this small little engine where you can pump out these rather ugly looking games. And I say ugly with like love, it's not an insult. You can pump out these Abiotic Factor comes into mind. That's another game that doesn't visually look great, but it's like you can pump out a lot of updates for this theoretically. because graphically, it's not taxing not only to your PC, but to make models for guns in this particular case with Dagger Directive, to make models for guns or new uniforms or you know it shouldn't take too long because it's like it's not high detail like it would like a triple A game would look or something with you know pristine graphics, cutting edge shit. I like that, so you can pump these things out, pump these updates out. So it's like you're basically playing like I said earlier, like a devolved Arma. And I like that. I like I've learned a long time ago, and Legend of Zelda comes into mind, specifically Link to the Past, which is my favorite Zelda. I learned, I would say since around that time, actually a lot younger because I played the original Zelda on the Nintendo, so I should say probably in the late 80s, early 90s is when I learned a valuable lesson, which is a game does not have to look good in order for it to play good. And here's an even better one for you. A game doesn't have to look good in order for you to enjoy it, right? It doesn't have to look good to play good. So this is one of those games, Dagger Directive. It doesn't look the greatest. It doesn't look ugly. It's just you gotta go in there with the expectations like, okay, this was intentionally made to look like a retro old school game, but I can see how someone would most definitely confuse that and start making fun of like the animations and also the mechanics and most definitely the graphics, thinking that it's supposed to compete or go toe to toe with like any type of modern game, which is not. It's kind of doing this old retro thing, kind of in its own little groove, which I like. But I love the idea that you can tell that this was heavily Arma inspired, heavily. If not, the developer is a goddamn liar. And I love that. I love the fact that you can make another Arma game. It seems to be no shortage of tactical shooters out there, which I'm all for. I love tactical shooters. I think they're great. But it seems like that's what they're going for, just a deep complex game with just PlayStation 1 esque graphics, and I'm here for it, man. I'm a big fan so far. I really like what I see. Oh shit! Let me make sure I'm recording. I haven't even put it on. All right, so I find myself thinking a lot about like shooters in general, right? Which like I've been speaking about the subject for a long time, which is difficulty in video games, and that's one of the biggest reasons why I like games like tactical shooters. I'm sure I said this before ad nauseum. Sorry if you're hearing it again for the 6,000th time, but I enjoy the difficulty in these tactical shooters. I'm not necessarily like a jarhead or like a military enthusiast. In fact, I don't really know shit. I don't even know guns. I played Arma for almost 500 hours, which is like baby hours compared to those who are true fans. But 500 hours, well, it was like 460 hours. That's still nothing to like, you know, that's still nothing to like scoff at. It's a nice little investment in one thing. You spend 500 hours doing anything, you'll probably be pretty good at it. Probably. Unless you're like a fucking brain surgeon or something. So I found myself playing Armor for that long, and I can't tell you the name of a gun. I can't tell you the model number. I can't tell you shit. I can probably be like, oh, that's an AK, or oh, that's a shot. I'm super casual. It's ridiculous for someone who's invested this much time, not only in Arma, but also just in tactical shooters in general. Man, Ground Branch, Gray Zone Warfare, Tarkov, Armor Reforger, Arma 2, Arma 3. What else? Wildlands. I know that one's a little more commercial. But point is, I played a lot of tactical shooters, and I can't tell you the name of these fucking guns because I don't care. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't give a shit. And like, is it automatic? Can it shoot? Like, but that's how I look at life, and it's probably not good. I don't know, but that's the way I've always been. Like, people go like, "Oh my God, that is a Firebird T100," and I'm just like, "Oh, it's a car." You jump in the car, you go from A to B. Like my brain is just it just simplifies it like that. So it's not to me. It's not important what kind of car it is. I know a lot of people that love cars are hearing this and they're like, "That's fucking blasphemy, and I should be crucified for saying such a thing." Sorry, but that's kind of how I feel about guns. Now, the gun guys want to crucify me and shoot me while I'm on the cross, but I don't remember model names or numbers for these guns. But Whatever. I enjoy it. Can I get that? Can we all at least agree, the car guys and the gun guys? Can you at least hear me out and go like, well, at least he enjoys it. At least he's trying. I'll tell you what. I'll make a deal with you guys. I'll try to remember the car names and I'll try to remember the model numbers. Deal? All right. Let's not kill each other. Peace on earth. So I'm not a military enthusiast or anything like that. I just like playing these games specifically because they're challenging. They're difficult. I enjoy that. I enjoy having to work for my enjoyment. Which, you know, I understand if you're someone with like maybe limited mobility that can't really use let's say they're playing on a gamepad, they're not as nimble or agile, so maybe their thumbs or their fingers don't work as well. Maybe they had an operation or some sort of a sickness or disease or condition where they can't really physically play a game, then I can understand the easier settings, right? Normal, easy. But like if you're able body and you're totally fine, crank the game on hard for once, just see for yourself how enjoying it can be. And frustrating. I'm not gonna sit here and sell you a dream. You're gonna want to bite your controller. Am I the only one that does that? Bites the controller when they're mad or twists it? That's one of the things I used to do. I used to fucking grab the PlayStation control and I used to just fucking twist that shit when I used to when I was playing Neo. Remember Neo? Oh my god. And IOH, the fucking Samurai Dark Souls game. I wanted to murder a third world village. So I don't really care so much for command or private or sergeant or any type of title or rank. I just or station or I just want to play something hard, and these tactical shooters, they deliver that. They deliver the hard. And I enjoy it. I enjoy the hard. So it just so happens that if it's a game that it's difficult and it has nothing to do with military, then I'll like that too. Like a zombie survival game or something like that, or even Wildlands, right? Which is like it is military esque, but it's more like you're like a task force of some sort. You know, basically, and you've basically been what's the word, hired, contracted to take out like a drug cartel. So you're not. It's military gear, military tactics, but you're not really in the. You're just shooting bad guys. You're shooting cartel dudes. So either way you put it, it's good stuff, man. I always advise everyone to at least crank the game up a little bit. At least put it on the difficulty that's next to normal, maybe hard. Sometimes we got the very hard and then some crazy fucking difficulty like extreme or death or lethal, and it's like, all right, dude. It's like hot sauces. When people name hot sauces that, like totally Nuketown, Hiroshima, and you're just like, all right, calm down, bro. Like it's just hot sauce, man. Anyways, Dagger Directive is a good game. Um, it's new. It's young. I believe it came out June, which is it's only been out for roughly 3 months now, and I've seen some updates that are upcoming, like kind of like a little newsletter thing, and more guns are going to be introduced. I want to see more systems. I would like to see iron sights because since that's one of the things that makes the game feel so antiquated. Because even though this is something I forgot to mention, though, even though graphically it looks like a PlayStation 1 era type game, it's got modern mechanics. It even says that on the store page when you read the description of the game. So it's an old looking game with new engine, a new engine, a new mechanics, which I enjoy thoroughly, right? Because it's like imagine going back, like I said earlier, the example was Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past. I would imagine playing a game, imagine playing that game specifically, but just with updated mechanics, like modern video game mechanics. That'd be fucking crazy, which I'm sure they probably done. There's so many Zeldas, especially that come out, on Switch. Hence, that's why they come out on Switch because it's their fucking home. It's owned by Nintendo. But there's a bunch of Zeldas that come out that are like 2D, and I lose track of them. So it's a little. It's not hard to describe Dagger Directive. It's gonna sound very generic because it's a war game that's very much like Arma, customized. You can approach missions however you want, like Arma. And I hate sorry if the comparisons would piss off. I mean, it's not like It's not like the developer's probably going to listen to this. No one listens to this. But I'm just saying that like I'm sorry for the comparisons. I don't mean to insult. I'm just saying that like, it's obviously heavily inspired by Arma, and if it's not, it's one hell of a coincidence. I'll tell you that much. It's like the world's biggest coincidence. Um so it's still young, so it's like it's I'm not going to say there's not much to do. It's got 15 missions, which is like definitely something to sink your teeth into, and you can play it the way you want. You can go in loud, you can do stealth, you can customize the loadout, you can do the sniper, the distance thing, you can do the up close and personal shotgun SMG thing. I think there's an SMG in there. I haven't really seen the loadout, the full loadout at least. I usually play with the default stuff. What the hell is this? Oh, so yeah, you can play co-op. Um, yeah, it feels like Arma, kind of plays like Arma. If Arma was made 25 years ago, it's a military shooter. It's a military simulator. It's the most definitely a MilSim. The price, that's something I did want to talk about. Right now it's on sale for about 16 bucks. I believe the retail price is 20 if I'm not mistaken, which I feel is I was thinking about this on the way home the other day as I got out of work, right? Cuz this game's been on my mind lately. I'm still playing uh Tainted Grail. I'm finishing that up. I'm in the third act, I believe, or third chapter. I don't know what it is. It's the Forlorn Swords. That's the name of it. So I'm wrapping that up, and eventually I'll finish that. And I believe the next game will be Metal Gear Solid Delta. Um, I am gonna end up getting that today, and probably that'll be my next game most likely. So anyways, with Dagger Directive, I was walking home and I was thinking like $20 for a game like this does seem kind of steep. But then when you think about the economy, right? Like it kind of matches what's going on today. Like everything is slightly costs us slightly more, and in some cases significantly more. I heard recently like the prices of groceries like went up like 30%, which is insane, right? Like in general in America, and that's true. I've most definitely seen that with my own eyes. Like it's wild. It's scary. It's scary, and I mean that. I don't mean that in a figurative way. I mean that literally. It's scary because I'm like, damn, if they're making food this expensive, like they're not going to stop. It's not like they're just going to make it cheaper out of nowhere. People are paying that amount, so they're going to continue making people pay that amount. That's the new norm. So I'm just thinking like, God damn, and not to mention the cost of living. And it's scary. It's like, damn, I don't know if I'm going to be able to afford to live. Like, it's crazy. I know it sounds a little dramatic, but it's true. Like, that's a genuine worry of mine. Anyways, so besides bumming you guys out, how does this correlate with Dagger Directive? Um, $20, right? I'm thinking like when I thought that price, I was like, oh, it's like going to a grocery store and seeing that something is slightly expensive. Now, this is a hard thing to talk about because a developer or someone who's worked on this game would hear me and go like, "Fuck you, dude! I worked hard and I believe that this game is worth this much." And I get it. I get it. I think it's worth that much. I will gladly pay $20 for this game. So far, I've got the demo and I've officially played the demo. And yeah, me personally, Danny, I don't mind paying 20 bucks for it, but I can see and I have seen people say, this is a little too pricey for what you get. And I don't know if they meant like, oh, it's still early access. I forgot to mention that too. That's a key point here. It is an early access title, and the price will increase. It'll go up even higher when the game comes out 1.0. Now, when it does come out in 1.0, I don't know exactly when. I believe they said it's going to be in early access for 2 years, but man, I've played enough early access titles to tell you that shit, those 2 years can easily turn to like 10. Project Zomboid, 7 Days to Die. I think 7 Days to Die actually came out though, officially, which is great. Good fucking congratulations. Zomboid though, that shit's going to be like perpetually in early access. Or did that come out too 1.0? Maybe I'm talking shit. So, what was that? Yeah, so the people who have been complaining about the price of Dagger Directive, I wonder if it's because there's not enough content to chew through because it's an early access title that came out 3 months ago, or maybe they feel like, oh, this is like a, it's a PlayStation 1 slash N64 retro type game. Who's gonna pay $20 for this? Like maybe it's a little bit of both. But yeah, overall, I do feel like 20 is a little too much. I'm not gonna lie. I think I think 15 would be good. 10 would be excellent. $10. But $10 also does sound a little steep. Like I said, I should say cheap, and not in a good way. Obviously, it is cheap, $10. But I mean, like, I feel like Dagger Directive is worth more than $10. I think it should be somewhere $16 right now for this game. I think it's a good price. But that's what the hell, man. Oh, I snoozed it. I didn't. Sorry if you heard that. It was my alarm. So I don't know why people do that. Apologize for that. I'm sorry, you heard a noise from my phone. Like, why is that offensive? And why do you have to apologize for it? It's a polite society thing I'll never understand. But I do it. I just did it. I don't know. It's my brain's wired. Our brains are wired weird. So yeah, if you ask me, I think $15 retail price, even $16 retail price. I feel like that's where, like I said, that's where it should stay. Currently, that is the price because it's on sale, but retail price will be 20. So in a couple of more days, it'll shoot back up to 20. I do feel like 15 is it. That's the point right there. Maybe 20 when it comes out of early access. But that also differs, right? Because how much content, if it's going to be like Arma, because it's obviously heavily inspired by Arma, if it's going to be like Arma in the 1.0 release, when that 1.0 release finally comes out, it's going to be chock full of a bunch of features and shit. And then gladly you can pay like $30 for it then, although some people would still be kind of upset. Maybe 25. I don't know, man. Like these people, they know the market more than me. I'm just an outsider casual looking in, so don't crucify me. Other than that, you know, I wish I can get into more detail like about the music and all that, but I barely remember it in the music. It sounds so low. Maybe it's my configuration, like maybe it's my hardware, but it just seems like everything is so low, like the sound effects and everything. I gotta like put it at a volume that I normally don't put my games in because this game's so low. Scum has that problem too, so maybe it is my hardware. Um, yeah, I can't really comment so much on the music because I can barely hear the game. Sound effects sound pretty good. They sound satisfying. You know, the gameplay. You most of the time you one tapping them. One bullet is enough to take them down. At least with the rifle that I use, and I believe one bullet is enough to take you down too. Although I don't know. I think how like Tarkov. I think they took this from Tarkov, or maybe they didn't. You know how in Tarkov when you're getting shot at, you didn't get hit yet, but you're getting shot at. Bullets are landing within your area. The screen kind of not flashes, or maybe it does it. The screen does this weird thing where it lets you know. I think it starts to black out, like almost like you're about to pass out. And I think that's like letting you know, like, hey, they're shooting near you, so you better start thinking of a way to get the fuck up out of there or shoot back. Dagger Directive has something like this, except it's the opposite. If instead of it looking like you're about to pass out, like the screen's getting blacker and blacker, the screen actually gets brighter and lighter. And I'm like, am I getting hit physically, or are bullets landing near me? And that's kind of a warning to let me know to get out of the way. I don't know, but it seems like a mechanic taken from Tarkov, which is smart, because Tarkov's the shit. What was the whole point of me bringing that up? Yeah, so I guess what I was trying to get to was that it's pretty simplistic in nature with like one hit kills, and it does feel like like an old school game with new school mechanics. It's as advertised, which is great, right? Nowadays, how often do you get exactly what was advertised? That's rare. I'm enjoying it immensely. I would say grab it now while it's $16. It's kind of a harder sell at 20, personally. But I I hate to say it because people will want to snap my neck, but you're buying into investment, right? When you buy an early access game, right? You're basically buying the game and the promise of what it will become in the future. You're basically spending your money on digital potential. That's what you're doing. So I don't know why, but like if I pay $16 for this game, once again, I got the demo, which by the way, they let you try the game out before you buy it, which is awesome. How many times do you buy a game? How many times do you play a game before you buy it nowadays? That was a very common thing growing up with like, CDs that would have demo discs. That's what they were called. Metal Gear, ironically, was I burned that demo out. It came on a disc, and I played the shit out of that thing. But it was good stuff. So yeah, grab the demo if you're into like military shooters, tactical shooters, MilSims. If you're not, it's gonna be like another MilSim, so you're probably gonna hate it. But it's good stuff all the way. I highly recommend it, and me and my girlfriend are gonna play it tonight because I'm off the next few days. Labor Day is this Monday, so I'm off that day too, which is weird. I've been working part-time jobs for so long that I most of the time I'm the guy that works the holidays. So I don't care. I'm not a big holiday guy. I'm not even a big birthday guy. I'll work my birthday. I did work my birthday this year actually, but I'm off for the next few days, so we're me and her are both looking forward to this game because she likes military fucking shooters better more than I do. Like this girl's hardcore. She played like CS:GO, not professionally, but damn near professionally. Internet cafes. Like she's old school like that. So she loves her shooters. So she's looking forward to it too, and so am I. With that said, sorry if I did a shit job describing this game. It's kind of hard to because I could just go, "Hey man, Milsim," and then you go, "Oh," like I kind of feel like that captures what you're going to get. But long story short, it is, and it's an older looking Milsim with newer graphics and I mean, sorry, not graphics, mechanics. Like it's I know, man. Sorry. I'm pretty sure there's YouTubers out there who would describe and this game way more better than me, and also will actually have videos instead of just hearing my fucking droning voice for almost half an hour here. Speaking of which, I gotta get out of here. I'm starving. Good game, man. Solid mechanics, solid fun factor, and for an early access title, it has enough for you to sink your teeth into. 15 missions. I forgot exactly how many weapons. You can replay them on. Right now, it's only two difficulties: normal and hard. More shit is coming. So if you do buy this game for $16 right now, that it's on sale currently as of August of 2025, you you're once again you're kind of buying into potential. It's only going to get better from here. I know that's a bold statement because obviously there has been games that have gotten worse from here, but I do believe that this game is going places. It's just call it a feeling, call it witchcraft. I don't know, but good stuff. I'm out of here. See ya.